My good friend, Charles, as always, welcome. Thank you so much for being generous with your time. I can't believe that we are fighting over the redefinition of a recession instead of talking about what we can do to get out of it.
We're talking about the Biden administration. Oh my goodness. I'm just so frustrated beyond words. Every single thing has to be about closing, selling, embellishing, okay, you passed the COVID test, go back to work, but instead, we did all this great stuff. Yeah, you had over 1 million people die the first year you were in office. Give me a break. Now, this recession thing, yeah, they're bracing themselves. We get the GDP number tomorrow, and maybe it comes in positive, but there's a great chance that it could be negative. Now, if you remember, the first quarter was a surprise. That was a negative GDP, and all of the financial media, as they always do, circled the wagons around President Biden. Well, it's not really a big deal because inventories and this and that. Of course, we had a huge GDP number in the fourth quarter of last year, and we celebrated it as a sign of amazing progress, but that was all inventory. So, listen, the bottom line here is this administration, instead of coming up with solutions, believes that messaging, and of course their messages have backfired. It's been so abysmal, and it's frustrating as a citizen, and it's frustrating as someone who just thinks, hey, you're playing with fire.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you just talked about it. This is economics. It comes from a Greek word and it means home economics. It begins with managing your home. That's what it's all about. So instead of coming up with concrete ways to make life easier or better, for Americans, they come up with excuses. So this is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
The National Bureau of Economic Research, NBER, is the one that officially timestamps recessions, or what they call the business cycle. And it's 8 people. At one point, Ben Bernanke was on it, so it has all these illustrious folks on it, right?
Right.
They are so late, Dana.
Didn't it take them a year back in 2008? I mean, by the time everybody knew we were in a recession?
Well, let me tell you first, to give you a recession, right, the timestamp, the last 4 recessions, it took them 9 months, 8 months, 12 months. Now, the last one, it only took them 4 months, but here's the deal. It was over in 2 months.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
So this is what the administration's doing. At this rate, they'll definitely get through the midterms without this thing being time-stamped. So they'll say between now and through the midterms, we are not officially in recession. No matter how bad it is, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how painful life is for the average American, they're going to run with this into the midterms.
And this is all to avoid them being able to pin this, because that's all that matters. They just don't want it pinned on them,
right,
on this administration.
Right.
Good grief.
Right. Now, when it's over, forget about it. It takes, to your point, it takes even longer for them to figure out when it's over. I mentioned that the last recession only lasted 2 months. Well, the NBER didn't figure that out. It ended in April 2020. They didn't figure it out until July 19, 2021. So, I mean, this is ridiculous. The base policy on this, the base of talking points on this, this is okay. This is fine for the academics and the eggheads and the record books if you want to do that. In real life, we have a problem right now that we have not had in 4 decades, and people are looking for solutions.
Exactly. We're talking to my friend Charles Payne. You can watch him on Fox Business weekdays 2 to 3 Eastern, Making Money with Charles Payne. The rate hike, this is bad because we have the CPI numbers. GDP's Thursday, CPI's Friday, and apparently we get another rate hike potentially in September. This is just a perfect economic storm. I think I heard someone classified as a Category 5 economic storm. And going into the holiday, because then you get through midterms, then you go into the holiday season. What is this going to look like by the time we get to November?
Oh, boy. Well, here's the problem. And this is really sad in many ways because this is really self-induced, right? This is a serious... the administration, the Biden administration, shot itself in the foot and really destroyed everything with that $1.9 trillion. It was just money that wasn't needed. It created this what they call a wage spiral where no one wanted to work because why would you if you were getting paid not to? And it's created this inflation spiral, this runaway inflation. So now the Federal Reserve is the only entity out there that can deal with this. And they're tasked with the job of having to break the economy. They want to deliberately increase the number of people who are unemployed. They want to deliberately slow down the rate of wage increases. They want to deliberately derail the housing boom. I mean, think about that for a moment. We've got an entity out there that none of us have a voice in. None of us get to vote on who's in charge of it. They don't answer to anyone. And their job right now, and by the way, they've been given their marching orders by President Biden in public and in private to break the backs of this economy. So anytime they see resolve, too much spending here, a good housing number there, they're going to keep layering it on. And it's so unfair. Put yourself back last year. You go to the mailbox and the government has sent you a check. You didn't do anything for it. They sent it to you. Great. Yeah. They want you to spend it. Of course you go out and spend it. You keep getting these checks. You're like, I don't know where the hell they're coming from. But they keep coming. I got one for the kids. I got one for the rent. I got one for just being me because I'm so wonderful, like one of those L'Oreal commercials, right? Because you deserve it. You know what I mean? I'm looking in the mirror like, oh, you're so cute. You got a check. So you got all these checks, and you're out there and like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get me some Louis Vuitton sneakers. Yeah. I never had a pair of those before. So you're out there spending this money like crazy, and inflation. We already had a powder keg. The Federal Reserve set up a powder keg with all this money they've been pumping for years. So it sparked, and it blew up. Now you're going to be punished for spending that money that was given to you to spend in the first place.
Exactly. Gosh, what a trick. It is an absolute bait and switch on this. And I mean, I hope people remember this going into midterms, talking to Charles Payne. I wanted to ask you too, I don't think, from what I understand, from what I've read, that they've actually made this happen. This kind of gets into further tanking of the economy, because in addition to everything that we've seen with the printing of money, the quote unquote stimulus, we have all these bad numbers that are coming in this week. Then we see that, the SEC, and I was reading this a couple of weeks ago with Roll Call and a couple of other places, are looking to get into what we have seen in the Netherlands and Sri Lanka and what Canada is getting ready to do with these ESG, these environmental disclosures, and actually using investment as a way to shepherd these companies into getting with the climate change behavior. I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that, because I mean, there were police shooting at farmers in the Netherlands, and there were people rioting in Sri Lanka, and all of this is being pinned on this ESG and what their government decided to force them into. Could that be a legitimate reality here?
Absolutely. I've been warning about this for years, Dana. I'm always ahead of people on this kind of stuff. I saw at the very beginning, and let me tell you, some of the largest folks out there. I had them on my show. I grilled them on my show about this. Hermes and some of these other large, huge, multi-trillion-dollar funds. It's worse in Europe. And this is, by the way, it's already affected us. It's not even about it going into effect. It's going to go on steroids. But one of the reasons gasoline is so high is that you cannot fund a major project in America because you can't get the money from Wall Street. It doesn't qualify under environmental, social, and governance, ESG. So it's already had a major impact on middle-class America, lower-income America, but it's going to get a lot worse. So the SEC just added a new commissioner straight from Nancy Pelosi's office. Yeah. And the SEC is going to be looking at all of the different sort of things that, your disclosure. You got to explain every time you report your earnings how your company's business impacts the environment. There's going to be some kind of social scores attached to that. The same thing with the Federal Reserve. They're being pushed to do something very similar. And it's so crazy. The EU yesterday said they're going to decrease by natural gas use by 15% in every country. Now, of course, some countries are saying, are you nuts? Portugal's upset, Greece is upset, Italy's upset. They're Mediterranean countries. Like, we might need a little AC, So,
it's a little hot here.
But if you look at where Germany and France, where their electricity rates are going to be this winter, honestly, no one there could afford it. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's already baked into the cake. So they're ostensibly saying this is why we need to do this and we need your help. But really, this is all, again, gets back to ESG. Mm-hmm. Also, when you start to curb natural gas, right, then you also hurt your fertilizer market.
Yep.
I cannot believe what we are watching. We are watching people deliberately. This is suicide.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know what the word is. I know there's got to be a side for when you kill a nation or when you kill a continent. Whatever that is, it applies here.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely mind-boggling, Dana, that they have decided that mankind is too much of a threat to Earth, that we really have to kill ourselves. And that's what they're doing. They won't admit it, but that's what's happening.
And it's always the people making the rules that exempt themselves from said rules.
Oh,
the
yeah.
rest of us got to live with it.
Private jets are never covered in this stuff. Never covered.
Yeah, I read a thing where they were given exceptions to people with giant yachts from certain European nations.
Yeah.
How nice.
Yachts, jets, gigantic mansions with the footprint of a small country, third world country, all of them are exempted.
How lovely.
They're all because they see themselves above us.
Right.
They see themselves as the folks who are implementing this on our behalf. It's, listen, we wouldn't know. They're doing it for our good. They're doing it for the good of the planet. And so maybe this is their small reward to be able to do that. But it's all because they need to be able to travel from place to place without getting stuck at the airport for 12 hours like everybody else.
Yes, exactly. Like all the rest of us. Our friend Charles Payne, Making Money with Charles Payne, weekdays 2 to 3 Eastern on Fox Business. And you can follow him on Twitter, CV Payne as well. Charles, my friend, always appreciate you being the canary in the coal mine on this stuff. And thanks so much for your time today. Always enjoy talking with you.
I'm glad you picked it up, though. You're great picking it up. Let's keep the word out there because it's a gazillion of us against just a handful of them. And we just can't let them do that. They're going to do to America what they've already done to Europe.
Yes, sir. That's true.
Can't let it happen.
Can't let it happen. That is true. Charles Payne, everybody. Charles, thank you, my friend.
All right. See you later.
Take care.